Piali nochime namantzin tonali mahtlaktli wan eyi. Welcome everyone. Today is the 13th day of our Nahuatl lesson series, course 1. Today we're going to be learning a lot more about new verb tenses. I'll show you what that means right now. So far, all the actions that we talked about were in the present tense, meaning we talked about things that we do every day or things that we're doing right now, right? Nikochi, that means in general, I sleep. Nimotlaloa, that means I'm running or I run. It means both of those things. I run or I'm running. Okay, so it could be happening right now or it could just be something you do in general. But there's other things we haven't talked about. There's things, same action word, but you could have done it yesterday. That means it happened already. Or tomorrow. That means it will happen. We'll call that the future. So that's going to be the main topic of today's lesson. But first, a mini introduction to the reflexives. Now, the reflexive is pretty simple. It's just mo in the Huasteca. In other varieties, it might be no, like in the state of Guerrero, it will be no. But in the Huasteca, it's pronounced mo with an M. A big caveat here, we're not talking about the possessive mo. Remember when I said Kenihki mo toca, what's your name? This does not mean mo as in your name. You'll know the difference because the mo is used for objects that you own or possess. This mo is used for verbs only. Okay, so very important thing here to not get those two confused. Okay, so when you see mo toca, that's not reflexive. One mo goes on verbs, one mo goes on nouns. Important distinction. Ni mo ita, I see myself, basically. Right? We saw ni mitsita, I see you. Or nik ita, I see him. Okay, we saw ti nechita, you see me. But now we learned, instead of having that object pronouns, instead of saying mits or nech or ki or all those, the mo takes the place of it. So I cannot say nik mo ita. That would not make sense. I either have to use the K or the mo. If I use the K, nik ita, that means I'm seeing it. Ni mo ita, I see myself. For example, in the mirror. Ni mo ita. A lot of the words that we've already learned, actually, already use the mo. And I just never mentioned it because I didn't want to throw you off with too much information at once. But now that we look back at some of these, you'll see there was a mo in front of us all along. Ni mo machtia, right? When we say it means I study. If you break it apart into its little pieces, ni mo machtia literally means I teach myself. I make myself learn. I make myself know. Ni mo machtia. Ni mo sewia. That's how you say I sit down. Ni mo sewia. But you're doing it to yourself if you think about it. So that's why we say ni mo sewia. I'm sitting myself down. Sewia means to cool something off. Make it colder or turn it off. Okay, like you would turn off a light, turn off fire. So when you're saying you're turning yourself off, it means you're relaxing yourself. You're cooling yourself off. You're just sitting down. Ni mo sewia. Ni mo tlaloa. I run. It's not reflexive in English or any language that I know of, but it is Nahuatl. I run myself. That's literally how you're saying it. I run myself. Because you're doing the action to yourself. Ni mo quetza. I get myself up. I stand up. Okay, but I'm not standing up an object. I'm saying I'm standing myself up. Ni mo quetza. So that's why it has a mo. Ni mo quetza. Sometimes the mo is hidden in that word. Like when we said ni mihtotia, I dance. So we have an O sound and an E sound, and they're competing. They're kind of fighting between each other. And the O sound tends to lose. So it gets swallowed up by that E. Or the A in another word. Ni mo ihtotia. Ni mihtotia. So really we have ni mo ihtotia, which means I dance myself. I dance myself. That's the way you would say I dance. Ni mihtotia. If I have a K in there instead of a mo, I'd be saying nik ihtotia, nikihtotia, which means I make it dance. I dance it. And that is a real thing, both in ancient Nahuatl and in modern Nahuatl. a lot of ceremonies involve making some object dance. Typically today it'll be a chicken or a rooster, for example, that they'll take it with them as they dance and do a ceremony with it. In ancient times, they would dance certain objects and make it seem like it danced. So, nikihtotia, I make it dance. Nimoaltia, but really you say nimaltia, nimaltia. It has a mo, the root is altia, which means to bathe something, apply water to something, shower something. So nimoaltia is I bathe myself or I shower myself. But if I have a K instead of the mo, nik altia, now I'm saying I shower it, I bathe it. For example, nik altia no kone, I'm bathing my baby or my child. Nik altia no kone. Okay, now I mean I'm doing it to it, not I'm doing it to myself. Okay, so this is one example of something we've seen before with the mo. This is the whole conjugation of it. You just stick it in there, in between the subject and the verb, right? The root. So we have ni mo ita, I see myself. Ti mo ita, you see yourself. Mo ita, he sees himself. And we have ti mo ita, which means we see each other. We see each other. Ti mo ita. I see you and you see me. Ti mo ita. We see each other. Technically, it can also mean we see each other in the sense of I see myself and you see yourself, and we all looking at ourselves in mirrors, staring at ourselves. We would still say the same word, timoita, which means we're all looking at ourselves. So we look at each other and also we look at ourselves individually. It means both. In moita, y'all see each other, and moita, they see themselves. So it's not going to change anything. Okay, it's not going to change any special endings. It's just something that's inserted in there. All right, next, let's learn about the future tense. In this sentence, we're saying, or this person is saying, mostla, which means tomorrow. Mostla ni nemis. Mostla ni nemis. Tomorrow I will walk. Mostla ni cochis. Nopasihuatl kineki motlalos mostla. Nopasihuatl kineki motlalos mostla. That woman wants to run tomorrow. Mostla ash ni motlalos. Tomorrow I won't run. Mostla noweitata mihtotis. Tomorrow my grandpa will dance. Mostla noweitatahuan mihtotise. Tomorrow my grandparents will dance. Okay, so let's look at what's going on here in the pattern. The stuff in the middle, the new stuff we have is that the future tense is marked by S at the end. And that goes for singular. For example, if it's ni, ti, or zero. Me, you, or him, or her. And all the plural ones, like we're doing the action, or y'all are doing the action, or they're doing the action, that ending will be se. S-E-H. Se. Okay? That's it. Okay, so instead of that H, remember we had an H before, as in we are walking, tinehnemi. Well, instead of an H, that H is only for present tense. So for the future tense, it's going to be se, S-E-H, in the singular S. So the only rule you really have to learn here is if the verb ends in oa or ia, delete that final a first, and then put in the S. What I mean is like the word mihtotia that ends in ia. So I would not say to say I will dance. I'm not going to say ni mihtotias. that would not make sense. You have to take out that A. Nimihtotis. And then that stuff in the middle bears no relation to this. That just depends again on whether it's a transitive verb, where you need to have both parts. Okay, so what does this mean? If I say nitlacuas, can you recognize what that means? What does that mean? If I say nitlacuas, means I will eat. I will eat. What if I say nikonis atl? Nikonis atl. That means I will drink water. Tinehnemis. Tinehnemis. You know that ti means you and nehne means walk. You will walk. Tinehnemis. Right? Tomorrow, maybe. Mostla. Ipan ometonati in 2 days. Ipan eyitonati in 3 days. Ipan nawitonati in 4 days. Tinehnemise. Tinehnemise. Okay, so if you're thinking this means you, check again. This refers to the we, not you, but the we. How do we know? Because it ends in se. It's plural. So this means we will walk. Tinehnemise. Nimitsitas. Okay, so now we're using a word that has to have something from the middle row. Nimitsitas. I, to you, will see. I will see you. Mostla nimitsitas. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, without the chart, can you figure out what does it mean if I say nimomachtis? Nimomachtis. Momachtia, right, is to teach yourself, to learn, to study. Momachtia. We take out that a and add the future. Momachtis, will study, and the ni means me. I will study. 2 verbs. Nikneki nias nochan. Nikneki nias nochan. Okay. Nikneki means I want, right? Neki means to want something. Nikneki or nikneki. Nias means I will go. Ya or yowi means to go. Nias, I will go. Nochan, my home. If you translate this literally from English, it's going to be awkward. Literally, this means I will go to my home. But in English, we would say I want to go. But there's no such thing as to go in Nahuatl. That's called infinitive. It doesn't exist. To sleep. I want to sleep. What is to sleep? Right? To run. What's to run? That doesn't exist in Nahuatl. So when we have 2 verbs, this second one will be in the future tense, typically. Why? Because it's an action that you haven't done yet. It's an action that you're hoping will happen. It's an action that is potentially going to happen in the future. It's more about a potential here, right? So if there's that potential, that's going to be like to sleep. Whenever you would think like to sleep, to run, to swim, that's probably actually going to be in the future tense in Nahuatl. So that's how it would work. If you're going to say, I like to swim, that to swim is going to be in the future. I want to swim, this to swim still going to be in the future. Okay? So that's an example of that. Tlentich chiwas mostla. Tlentich chiwas mostla. What are you going to do tomorrow? Okay, chiwas, to do something. But I can't just say chiwa by itself. Tlenti chiwas. It doesn't make sense. Because chiwa is a transitive verb. It's one that needs something from both columns. Okay, so the one that typically is going to be used is going to be the K for it. Literally, what will you do it to it tomorrow? What will you do it? Is how you're literally saying. Tlen tikchiwase mostla. What will we do tomorrow? Tlen tikchiwase mostla. Literally, what are we going to do it tomorrow? but that's how you say it in Nahuatl. Tlen tikchiuasemostla. What are we going to do tomorrow? Kenihki moislia, I will eat. How do you say kenihki moislia means how is it said? This is the reflexive mo right there. How is it said? Literally, how does it say itself or how is it said? Kenihki moislia. I will eat. So we got the word tlacua, which means to eat in general. I will eat. Ni tlacuas. Ni tlacuas. Tlacua doesn't need anything from the middle row, okay, because it's not transitive here. Tlacua by itself, you could think of it as intransitive. I'm eating in general. Teipan means later in Huasteca. Teipan, later. So I will study later. Say teipan ni momachtis. Teipan ni momachtis. You can make it into a question. Will you come? Will you come? Are you gonna come? We have wala, which means to come. You is ti. Ti wala means are you coming? But we want it in the future. Like, will you come? Are you going to come? That's in the future. So there'll be tiwalas. Tiwalas. We will dance tomorrow. Mihtotia is to dance. Okay, so let's put it together. Ti plus se will mean we. Okay, so ti plus se. So ti mihtotiase? No, we forgot one more part. We've got to take out the a in mihtotia. Why? Because this, again, remember, it ends in oa or ia. If it ends in that, you're going to take it off a lot of times. So here we take it off. So it's going to be mihtoti. The word mihtotia, which is the real root word, will turn into mihtoti. So now we're saying timihtotise. Timihtotise. What will you do tomorrow? What are you going to do? Okay, so I'm telling you, the word is chiwa, to do, and you need that K for this one. So tlen is what? Tikchiwas. Tlen tikchiwas. Mostla tlen tikchiwas. Tomorrow, what are you going to do? Mostla tlen tikchiwas. Tomorrow, what will you do? All right, this was the future tense. One of the easier tenses for us to cover because we have this ending that we're adding on. And the only rule you have to remember is, does this word end in oa or ia? And that's it. Next time we'll learn into the past tense. And that will be one of the trickier tenses of Nahuatl. Tlaskamati, Huantimoitase.